Well, good day. It's a great day to be in Rome, Georgia, with John Smoltz and Dr. Donald Dowless from Shorter University. John, we are really looking forward to your visit for the Presidential Gala.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it as well. Haven't been there before, and look forward to being there and giving a talk.
John, I know you're from Lansing, Michigan. How did you get going into baseball? How did that become your sport?
Well, I started in a musical family playing the accordion at the age of 4, all the way through 7 years old, competing in competitions. My mom and dad were both accordion teachers, and so I was following in line in their footsteps. My dad played in a band for about 60 years, and I decided at 7 years old I wanted to play baseball. For whatever reason, it just intrigued me. I watched it, and so I decided to tell my parents that I knew what I wanted to do when I grew up, and it was going to be a Major League Baseball player. And so they didn't really bat an eye at it, but I'm sure they didn't think that was something within the realm of our family dynamics. No sports in our family. Nobody really played sports. So they let me pursue it, thinking I'd probably return back to music, and the rest is history.
Well, John, I kind of portray your career somewhat Abrahamic in a way. Abraham was comfortable in his zone in the Middle East back in the day, and God said, Abraham, I want you to move. And I kind of feel like that might have been the case with you, John. You were comfortable there in Detroit. You were all set to go to Michigan State. The hometown Tigers draft you. You're a Detroit Tiger, and then 2 years later, somebody knocks on the door and says, "You've been traded to Atlanta." How did that go?
Yeah, what didn't go really well for me, I thought wasn't having a good season. We were on a bad team. I thought I wasn't wanted. There was a lot of negative things that fell initially with that trade. I didn't look at it the right way. And then after about 48 hours of just really thinking about the opportunity that lay before me, it was the break of a lifetime. It was the greatest thing that could ever happen to me. At the time, though, I just didn't think too positively of it. I was going to one of the worst organizations in baseball at the time. I was traded from my hometown team and the team I grew up idolizing, and I was having a miserable season. So a lot of things were not pointing in the right direction. And once I got to Atlanta, actually Richmond, Virginia, I realized what the organization needed. I realized my path to the big leagues was going to be far greater in Atlanta than it would have been in Detroit. And I reset my focus and goals on doing whatever I had to do to get better. And about a year and a half later, I was in the big leagues with Atlanta. So I don't think that would have happened in Detroit in the time frame that I just laid out. But getting a chance to understand the whole dynamics of the trade, it really made a lot more sense for me to see this as a great opportunity.
And then 3,000 strikeouts later, which I believe is still a record for the most strikeouts with the same team. A Cy Young Award later, and that's history. And now you're on Fox Sports. How does your faith, John, play a role in all of this, or how did it play a role throughout all the years?
Yeah, it was everything from the age of, let's see, in 1995, I put my faith in Christ. I'd always been a churchgoer, people pleaser, good person, always wanted to do the right thing, but didn't understand the vertical relationship that was so it was so essential for my walk and understanding everything that was coming at me. I was trying to handle on my own, and there were times I did a good job handling it, and then there were times, of course, I didn't do a good job handling it. And I kind of had a topsy-turvy career to start out with in the first 4 or 5 years of it, and then really understanding what it meant to be freed up and a follower of Christ to submit to him and his ways was 1995, and it turned my career into a totally different direction. With so many other things coming at me, I now had the resources and the ability to understand that my identity is not who I am and what I wear, what uniform I wear, but it's whose I am and who's in control, and Christ being the center. So it was, I don't think success could have come the way it did, and understanding failure the way baseball and life and just all the challenges that come that way, they come at you fast, and being able to lay it at his feet and take off the backpack of junk and the backpack of life that I was carrying on my shoulders was certainly freeing, and changed the trajectory of how I viewed things moving forward.
John, this is Don Dowless from Shorter. We appreciate what you just said because we love Jesus Christ too. We're a Christ-centered institution. And I know you will share more at the gala with our students, but if you had one thing you could say to our students, because it's clear that God gave you a gift, what would you say to our students? They're 18 to 22 years old. Is there one piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if I was going back to even myself at 18, 20, 21 years old, I think putting your trust in the world is one of the worst things you can do. There's so many distractions and traps and so many diversions that you can get caught into, and understanding that, there's more to life than success, power, and fame, but having peace and trying to explain that peace, which I'll try to do, for my walk, is essential for everything that you're trying to become. To honor God in everything that he's given each and every one of us is one of the greatest things that I learned to do. And I think the fact that there are, if life was all about getting the most out of it, then you might as well squeeze it like an orange and get everything you can, because it's going to leave you empty at the end. And I trust and know that the Bible is true, and that life is not about squeezing everything like you can out of an orange, and it's honoring him and knowing what eternity is. And if everything that I share or anyone has shared with me, and if everything that we're talking about at the end of the day doesn't end up being true, then the life of a Christian, at the end of the day, you lose nothing. But if everything ends up being true, and the only way to heaven and eternity is a relationship with Christ, then you've lost everything. And, the verdict and the cross will meet, and whatever we do here on earth and whatever people think of us doesn't matter. It's only matters what God thinks of us.
Wanted to ask you quickly, John, about Kings Ridge. How is the school going, and are you still intimately involved with it?
I see it from about 40,000 feet now. I still help whatever and wherever I can. We're coming up on our 25th anniversary, which is so hard to believe. And it's hard to fathom that, God took me down this road and showed me a way to kind of defend and fight after a Christian education for the people in the Alpharetta area and for the young students, young men and women. I had no business doing something like that. I dove in head first, was passionate about it, and God showed me a lot through it. I started it out with an ambition and kind of, I'll show you attitude. And then I realized that if God is not in this, human efforts can only do so much. So it was one of the greatest journeys of my life, in the middle of baseball, in the middle of a lot of things that happened to me that, might not be in the game plan of life and what I thought was going to happen personally, but Kings Ridge is pretty important, and hopefully will leave an incredible legacy.
John, we appreciate that because we feel the same way about Shorter, that God has given it to us to help nurture it and love our students. So we're so excited about you coming on December 4th. And we just pray the Lord will use you in a mighty way to influence our students, faculty, and staff. Thank you for being willing to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I am looking forward to it.
And for those who would like to hear John Smoltz, please visit shorter.edu/gala. And you can also get information about tickets and sponsorship. Some sponsorship levels include a photo op during the meet and greet with John. And of course, all of the monies raised will go towards student scholarships.
We just appreciate you taking this time to be with us, John. I know it was a sacrifice, but thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I look forward to the season being over, getting through Thanksgiving, and then shortly after driving up and enjoying an evening at your fine university.
I'm not going to let you go without a prediction on the World Series.
Yeah, I think everybody in the world is pretty much thinking that the Dodgers have this well in hand, and they definitely have a great, and they are favored. But I've learned a lot about the Toronto Blue Jays. They are a tough bunch to get out and a tough bunch to win 4 games against. So Dodgers might win, but it won't be as what most people think is a no chance for the Toronto Blue Jays. I would not count them out.
All right, John. Again, thank you so very much for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you in December.
All right, same here. Thank you.
Thank you.